Okay. Child, if it was wine, I wouldn't blame you. I kind of wish I had some.
Right? No, I was just craving grape juice today. Like,
I've
hey,
been craving orange juice quite a bit. Hi, everybody.
what's crazy? All of us have.
hmm Hello, everyone. As you trickle into the room, go ahead and get settled. Drop some scale emojis as well as some pink flower emojis down in the comments. Let us know that you're with us.
Yes, let us know how everyone's doing today on this wonderful Tuesday. It seems like this
So
week's kind of going by pretty fast. It's
the
hard.
week is going by super fast.
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just going to start off introductions if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, everybody. Well, hi. I'm Hounsi Soleil. I'm one of the priestesses over at the Voodoo Institute, goddaughter of Huganzo, and I am here with my dear sister, Hounsi LaBelle Venus. This is a new segment that we're starting. We've talked about this for a little bit, and hopefully we're not going to commit to weekly just because life be lifing, but we're hoping at the most that we can make it like a bi-weekly segment. We know that a lot of you guys are interested in tarot. You're interested in learning the cards. And we wanted to bring our shared knowledge of different cards to you. Just talk about what they mean, how we see them show up in the work that we do. Also, if we see them in popular culture showing up in a particular way, we want to talk about that and give you examples. So these are just little segments to come in, give you a little education about the cards, and talk about them in like a little fun, approachable way. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Anything you want to say, LaBelle Venus?
Thank you for that. Thank you for the introduction. I also want to welcome everybody. And as Hounsi Soleil said, I am Hounsi LaBelle Venus. I am also one of the priestesses over at the Voodoo Institute. Both of us definitely both read with tarot. I know Hounsi Soleil is a very skilled reader with the tarot system, and it's something that we're very passionate about. So, like she said, I don't know if we could commit weekly to doing this, but we'll definitely be around dropping some gems. I will say definitely working as a hoodoo priestess or working in root work, you need a divination tool. And you need to be able to understand and interpret what the cards are saying. So I am just excited to be here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think you guys already know from the title of the video, especially if you clicked in from YouTube, that the card we're going to be talking about today is the High Priestess. Um, and I think it's important to start with this card because she holds a lot of information, right? She's very important. Um, I'm going to let you want to start, Venus, a little bit about your understanding of this card.
Yeah, sure, I can start. I'll say I don't want to speak for you, but this is actually one of my favorite tarot cards. Like I love to see the High Priestess pop up in my readings or in readings that I'm doing for other people. What I could say is like Soleil said that with the High Priestess, you know, like she holds a lot of information. I really like the High Priestess because she is so wise. Like she represents wisdom. She has that energy and the mystery of the moon and of the water. The High Priestess is notoriously known for being the keeper of sacred information. I think sometimes when I think of this card, sometimes it can indicate that spirit is speaking or that you need to listen up a little bit more. Sometimes when the High Priestess occurs, it could be a signal that the ancestors are speaking. You know what I mean? It's just it's a beautiful card. It's associated with the number 2, which we could talk about a little bit more in depth. It's associated with the moon and the waters. And I can go on and on and on, you know, about the water. We could talk about that here in just a minute. But Soleil, do you have anything that you want to say before we get?
Yeah, I love the High Priestess too. One of the things that I think is the most important about her is that she represents the secrecy that's involved in spiritual tradition, right? And if any of you guys watched our most recent Touch of Venus segment, you guys may have heard the section where we were talking about the importance of secrecy within religion, especially when you're in close practice, and that it's not okay to run your mouth, right? But a part of what keeps the secrecy is having strength in the wisdom that you carry, right? Having divine trust in the spirits that walk with you. The high priestess, in addition to carrying a lot of knowledge, being responsible for guarding the veil of the other side. So I'm going to show you all the Rider Waite, probably the most popular representation of the high priestess that we know of or that we think of, right? So you see in the artwork that she is sitting between two pillars. And these pillars, one black, one white, represents the dark and the light. So she's unafraid of working with both hands, right? Or that's how we discuss it, right? Her ability to stand in both the light and the dark means that she's unafraid of all aspects of spirit, right? So that's one of the things that we say a lot in BSN, like, how are you spiritual and you're afraid of spirits, right? So with her, because she has such an appreciation of the divine, such a respect for the divine, she is capable of being able to embrace all aspects of spiritual knowledge, right? A lot of people, when they are really new and somewhat thirsty to spirituality, what's one of the first things they do, right? They hop on the internet, they give themselves a handle, I'm the something high priestess, I'm the high priestess of this. But then they talk a whole bunch of love and light, right? You can't be in your high priestess energy if you are afraid of the darkness. You have to be that's that balance, right? So again, thinking about the fact that the numerology of the high priestess card is 2. 2 is about balance. It's about harmony and the restoration. So spiritually, in order to be tapped into your high priestess energy, you have to be comfortable with all aspects of spirit. You can't just want to hold on to the cute, the fuzzy, the sunshines and the rainbows of the work, right?
I agree. And I apologize. I'm not sure if I'm going to be repetitive because it did freeze on me for a second. But I love how you brought up the dark aspect to it, and the duality that's associated with the number 2. Did you show the traditional view of the card? I think I saw you.
Yeah, I showed the Rider Waite. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Yep. See, there we go. This is one of the more popular depictions of the high priestess, the traditional version. But to kind of add to what Soleil mentioned about the darker energy, this one is from the, I hope I'm saying it right. This is the Afro Avatar deck. This is one of my favorite.
Gorgeous.
Yes, isn't it? Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite depictions of the high priestess. It has that moon energy. It comes across it. It does a good job of translating the mystery and the things that are hidden. With the high priestess card in the tarot system, she kind of stands between the middle. Something that you'll see depicted in a lot of the versions of this card is the veil that is behind her, right? All of the sacred and old esoteric knowledge and everything is said to be behind the veil, right? Also with the association of water. In our practice, I think some of you have probably seen me around talking about water and about how water is deep. Water is mysterious. Water holds ancient secrets. Water is associated with our intuition and our connection to spirit. And that's also something that you want to think about whenever you see this particular card. Am I leaving anything out?
No, you're doing great, sis.
Okay. Yeah. So whenever I see this card, especially this particular depiction of it, that's kind of the energy or the vibes that I get. Also, something that you will also see, and Soleil can share, some of her favorite depictions as well. But I really love this one. if you guys can see it, it has a lot of blue. That's also something that you should look at when you're looking at these cards. Take a minute and think about the cards. Think about the colors that are in the card. What are you seeing? What does the color blue tell you, right? It's important to remember that each deck also tells a story. Each deck has a certain energy to it. One thing that I really love about the tarot system is that it does have art, and that can help you pull even more out of the cards, right? A lot of the students that I work with, they will tell you that I like to use art for intuition development purposes. I like to teach them about the different colors and the different symbolisms and signs and stuff like that that you'll see in the artwork. So keep that in mind when you're reading and when you're looking at these cards.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking at the artwork is really important. As LaBelle Venus mentioned, like a lot of representations have a lot of really deep, rich blues. When you think about the color blue and what it represents in terms of calm as well as knowledge, it's blue represents the water. It represents the moon. Those are all really important aspects, right? But even in looking at, I'm going to show another, which one should I do? So this is another representation of the High Priestess. It's actually very similar to the Rider-Waite, but it's a little different, and this is from the True Heart deck. I'm having issues with hand-eye coordination today. But yeah, you can see some things overlapping. So whereas with the traditional Rider-Waite, she has the moon in her crown, she has it on here too. She's also sitting on the moon, right? So resting in that space of the moon, the comfort of the moon. We know that the moon is the mother, right? It's the womb. It's a space of incubation. So in thinking about what a priest or a priestess represents as, you know, this representation of the divine mother, that's also something that we can think about when we think about high priestess energy too, right? Also thinking about the images on the veil. Typically there's images of a pomegranate, right? That pomegranate representing her sexuality being something that's hidden, but that she's very much deeply tapped into, right? That's also another aspect of high priestess energy that's really, really important. And then that Torah again, or the scroll that she's holding, another representation of sacred knowledge. So yes, she's holding it, but it's hidden underneath her robe, right? So not only is she cloaking or hiding things with the veil, she gets to dictate who goes behind that veil, right? But she also gets to dictate who gets to read those documents, those sacred documents that she's holding. So part of her responsibility is to be, and I know we don't like this word in the modern era, but a gatekeeper. She is a gatekeeper of knowledge, right? You have to prove to her that you are worthy of information before she just gives it to you willy-nilly, which again is how I know a lot of y'all are not high priestesses, because y'all run your mouths a little too much. But I won't derail. I'll leave that there.
I like that a lot. I'm happy that you brought up the pomegranates in the background as well, because yes, if you look at the traditional, this is what Soleil was talking about, but if you look at the traditional depiction of this card, you will see the pomegranates, you know, in the background. Also something that I would just like to point out, if you take a look here, look, I'm having hand and eye coordination problems too.
It's StreamYard. Let's blame it on StreamYard.
But you'll see right here in the middle of her chest is the cross, right? But that's not only just the religious symbol of the cross. I know that in our tradition, we could think of the cross as the four roads. It's not the four roads, the crossroads, the four directions, all of that good stuff. This is where spirituality and the physical realm meet as well. So just encouraging you all, while you're doing your readings, take a look at all of that. This one is from, I want to say that this card is from the Mystic Mondays deck. Do you have this one, Soleil?
No, I don't.
This one is very I feel like the artwork is a little bit more relaxed in this deck, but it still gives you the hues of blue, and like she said, the healing. It gives you the energy of the moon, the cycles. You'll also see hues of purple in this particular card. Purple is associated with, the third eye chakra. Purple is associated with personal power. Purple is also associated with royalty, right? So there's still a lot in that you can get from this card, as well as, paying attention to the third eye. This is her seeing not only in from the physical realm, but also into the spiritual realm as well. There's still an element of her having two items in her hand, right? It still represents duality. It still represents balance. Even the black that you see in the background, that veil that's behind her, also talks about things being hidden or things that aren't readily available up front. All of those things are things that you want to look at when looking at this particular tarot card. Sometimes in different decks, I know you guys aren't going to be able to see this one that well.
We'll give her a moment to trickle back in. And while she's doing so, I'll just take a moment to share another one of my representations with you all. We're going to be talking about ways we see High Priestess energy come up in pop culture in just a moment. But you guys may know this if you've ever watched any of my weekly forecasts or if you've taken classes with me. My very first tarot deck that was gifted to me was the Game of Thrones tarot deck. And it wasn't until I started to take tarot seriously as a part of something that I needed to explore in my spiritual journey that I came to realize just how accurate that deck was, even though it's kind of a nerdy or what's the word? A theme deck, or because it is based on the Game of Thrones, right? But one of my favorite representations is actually from that deck, which is Melisandre. If you guys are Game of Thrones fans, you guys know who she is. She was literally the high priestess of that community. And she was very much unafraid of the dark aspects of spirituality. She did some very dark things, made a lot of enemies in the show, but she was deeply committed to spirit. She prioritized the spirits that walked with her, the energies that walked with her, over the opinions of men, right? And that's another thing that when you really are in your high priestess journey that can really happen to you in real life. Like you will likely piss people off by being so committed and so dedicated to submitting to spirit and prioritizing the demands of spirit over the needs of man. All right.
I'm back. I'm sorry, y'all. The internet is hating on me today. I don't know. But I love that. I love the end that I just caught as I came back into the video. I know I got cut off on the last one, but I wanted to show you guys the crystal deck. This one is called the Crystal Power Deck as well. And if you are somebody who works with crystals, or you really like them, or you incorporate them into your work, it can be really insightful to pay attention to those visual cues as well, because selenite is going to give you a different message than fluorite. So those are also things that you can look at as well. I really want to piggyback off of something that I felt was really important that Soleil said. The last tarot card that you showed, you talked about her discipline and her commitment to spirit, which is something that I really think about whenever I see the High Priestess card show up. I don't know if you guys are going to remember, but the Disney depiction of Hercules, I love that movie. There was a section in the movie where Hades, he was plotting to, I don't know, do whatever he was trying to do, like take over the world. But there is a part where Hades was talking to the oracles, and they shared that one eyeball. They give me very much High Priestess energy. Their commitment to spirit was unwavering over all of these other aspects, so that's just a modern day example of what Soleil was talking about.
Yeah. I see that Esoteric Dej wrote in the comments that they don't like her, meaning they didn't like Melisandre. I know why you didn't, because I had some seasons where I ain't like that heifer either. So let's talk about it, because I think talking about her as a character and why it was easy to not like her gives us a launching pad to talk about some debilitations or how we see High Priestess energy in reverse sometimes, right? And again, some of you guys know that I don't necessarily read reversals in the traditional way. I kind of talk about them as debilitations, because sometimes the card can be upright and I'm still pulling that reversal kind of negative meaning from it, right? But for those of you who have never watched Game of Thrones, I'm about to do spoilers. Y'all deserve it, because the show ain't been on like 6 years. So if you're not up to date, that it is whatever. But she made some really inaccurate predictions. She did, and caused some really severe damage within certain communities, like literally murked children because she was getting inaccurate downloads, right? That is a debilitation of High Priestess energy. When your ego enters your interpretations, when your ego clouds your prophecy, that is a result of a debilitation of High Priestess energy. And it can be very dangerous. It can have some horrible impacts and results, right? That's something to be very, very much aware of. So, not being connected to your intuition, not having proper communication with the spirits around you, not having the discipline to know the difference between which spirits are which. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had readings with people and they're telling me about spirits that they just know are their ancestors. And I have to be like, baby, no, that is not your ancestor. That is a rogue spirit fucking with you, right? But that lack of discernment, because ego is getting in the way, is very much a reversal of High Priestess. It's a debilitation of High Priestess energy.
Yeah, and then also having an inability to actually listen to spirit at all. Also, let me just throw this out there, because Soleil and I work with the divine feminine, and the divine feminine energy is present in these cards because she is also a receptive spirit. This is also another. It could be an indicator that your divine feminine is out of alignment, that there's a blockage there if you're not receptive, if you can't receive messages from spirit. So that's also something to think about as well.
Mm-hmm. She can also, in reverse or in debilitation, represent the consequences or the damage that comes from spilling secrets, right?
Yes.
Again, we have to remember she is the guardian of the sacred knowledge. So not only does she have the wisdom, she's responsible for protecting it. She uses that priestly mother energy to protect those secrets. And when she doesn't do that, when she spills those secrets, when she puts that information in the wrong hands, there are dire consequences that come with that. So a lot of times, I know that for me, when I tend to see High Priestess come in reverse, that's sometimes one of the things that's taking place in those instances.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To go into that a little bit further, it could also mean that, and I'm very much like Soleil. It just depends on like the energy of the card, how I'm going to read it, the surrounding cards, etc. Right? But sometimes this can mean that spirit is literally trying to tell you something, but you aren't tapped in enough, yes, or you're not in tune to get whatever the message is. Like I said, there's other factors, but sometimes this could mean that you need a better spiritual regimen, right? This could mean that you've kind of stepped off your path a little bit as far as your spiritual hygiene is concerned. Sometimes this could suggest that you need to pray for and ask for the spirit of discernment or clarity even, right? Sometimes with the moon, things can be hazy. We can get caught up in disillusionment and get away from things that spirit is trying to show us. So that's also something that I'll say about this card as well.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to keep the conversation going, because we do want to talk about some representations of High Priestesses within pop culture, some celebrities that we feel, or public figures that we feel like embody that energy. But before we do, I just want to say that, we've given you guys a lot of information so far we know you're entertained. We know it. We feel it. So if you want to express your appreciation by sending a love offering, you're more than welcome to. Our cash apps are scrolling below. Don't be hesitant to be generous. Yeah. So do you want to start with a representation that you like
Yeah,
from pop culture or public figure? Okay.
I can start. Of course, if any of you guys pay attention to me, one of my favorite people to talk about is Ayanna. I think that,
Mhm.
first of all, Ayanna is a good depiction. Of course, we are. I mean, high priest. No, I'm just kidding. But I definitely think that Ayanna Van Zant is a really good example of
Mhm.
the high priestess. Um, her energy, I just feel like her wisdom is as old as time. Yes, I get that, you know, she is a person, but she gives me very much elder vibes, right? She gives me the vibes of one of those elders that's gonna hit you in the head with a stick or something if you're out of alignment. Like she's well studied. For those of you who don't know, Ayanna is a priestess in her own right. She's published several books and workings about prayer and about your connection to spirit. She's actually extremely open about her life, and she talks a lot about how her devotion to spirit has played a role in her life and in relationships. She's even gone to talk about how she doesn't, you know, necessarily communicate with other family members and things like that because you know, it wasn't in alignment for her. I really think that she's a really good example of the high priestess. Like,
Mhm.
I'm really a fan of her.
I agree with you on that, especially because, like, and I know she doesn't do that show anymore and that people have problems with the show. But even in that, like, that's a good representation too, because she's so committed to her spiritual investments that she don't care who she pisses off. She
She
does
don't
not care how she ruffles your respectability feathers. She doesn't care about any of that. She understands what her mission is. She understands what her calling is, and even if it ruffles feathers and makes people uncomfortable, she's going to stand in that. So I think she's a great representation. Absolutely.
Let me also
Um,
let me give you let me go on to that first. Sorry, before
mhm.
you go in there, I don't want to I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to also tell you, Soleil, and everyone, there a great example of what you just said was when Ayanna, you know, she went on the internet and told everybody that they were having babies unconsciously. But yeah, she was like, you know, she was like, I know you did it, you know, I've done it, you know, and she was speaking from her own personal experience, but that was something that spirit put on her heart. That was something that she felt like the collective needed to know, right? And she put it out there and she didn't care whose feathers, you know, it ruffled. She didn't care who cut her off or how mad they got. So that goes to show her dedication to spirit over, you know, the needs of everyone else.
Absolutely. And those who know the work knows that she was right. You know what I mean? That message was not very different from the messages that we get in the working that we do. And we have to have some very painful and uncomfortable conversations with people sometimes. That's literally the part of the work, right? Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I think that was really good. Um, I'm gonna go with. I was gonna talk about Giselle Bouchin, Tom Brady's wife, and I may talk about her, yes, and bring her up later. But I'm feeling compelled to talk about Erica Badu. Yeah, Erica Badu is very much a high priestess energy, very much spiritual, tapped into her sexuality in a way that is authentic while being unapologetic, which is high priestess energy, right? Um, and it's not like a vulgar way, it's just an understanding the spirituality that connects her to her divine feminine. If you listen to her music, there's a lot about spirit and the elements, right? Orange Moon, oh my God, that song is a prayer in and of itself, right? So yeah, I think she's also somebody that definitely represents high priestess energy, even down to the way that she named her children, right? Naming them after sacred numbers. So that is something that she definitely thinks about. And I think she's a good representation because it's very much it shows up naturally in how she is, the quality of her creative endeavors, right? So even though she's not necessarily saying certain things very specifically, if you know, you know, and you can tell by the way she shows up that there's something extra going on there. So I think she's a great representation. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was on mute, but absolutely would have to agree. I love how you brought up the sensual or sexual energy. That's something that Ayana talks about a lot too. There's a viral clip of her. I'm telling y'all, I love this lady. She's so funny, but she's so authentic and so real. She got online and told everybody she was like, "I was a hoe." Have you seen that clip of her talking about her history and everything? So, Ayana, I think she does a really good job of that, of not only talking about her femininity. Someone said she's a Pisces.
That makes sense. That deep, very natural connection to spirit and other worlds. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just think of, because a lot of you who know me know that, I was raised by the elders, right? I spent a lot of my younger life sitting at the feet of my elders. So I think of them as the high priestesses, not only in our tradition, the not the gatekeepers, right? But those keepers of the sacred wisdom, the knowledge that you don't get unless you've put in your dues. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, yeah, I think Erica Badu is probably the Pisces and Ayana is the Virgo. But I think of the elders in general, in my family, and then just like in our African traditions as the high priestesses, the high priest and priestesses, like just very wise, protecting all that is sacred. I think that our elders, in a sense, have that same energy as well. Especially some of the female leaders that we have within our community.
Absolutely, I agree. Anything else you want to say about these particular cards, Venus, before we wrap up?
I think that we've covered everything. I will say, just as a recap for you all, for those of you who missed the earlier parts of the live, today we talked about the High Priestess card in the tarot system. The High Priestess card is associated with the water element. It is associated with the moon. And it is associated with the number 2, which you kind of see here. She is the keeper of all sacred knowledge. She is receptive. She is in tune with her femininity. She represents the different phases and the different cycles, the known, the unknown. She is the light and the dark of things as well. So that is pretty much a recap.
And then also remembering that she's the priestly mother, right? So one of the things that I always say is that the high priestess represents the divine feminine in terms of our spirituality, whereas the empress is the divine feminine in terms of the physicality and like the earthly kind of grounded energy. And in thinking about that and thinking of what does it mean to be a priestly mother, right? What does it mean to give nurturing to people that come to you for your counsel, while also protecting them and holding boundaries with them too, right? Because that protection of the veil, that protection of secret knowledge, that development of rites of passage to see whether or not somebody is capable or ready to even engage with the secrets of spirit, to engage with that deep knowledge, is something that mothers do, right? Mothers teach their children, mothers nurture them, mothers protect them. As priests and priestesses, we do take on the role of spiritual spiritual parents, whether we like it or not. Like that's literally a part of the work. So in thinking about, what does it mean for the moon to be a representation of the womb, of a space of incubation? What does it mean for the high priestess to be the spiritual mother, the priestly mother? And thinking about that, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that this was helpful. especially if you are new to your tarot journey. I hope that this is a good starting point for you. We will be talking about other cards in the future. If you have a specific card that you want us to take on next, don't be shy about leaving comments. We do read our comments, and we do use that information to structure our work as we move forward. Before we go, we're going to just take a minute to tell you guys about how you can keep in contact with us, ways to work with us, and also to further learn from us if you are interested in strengthening your knowledge of tarot or even other forms of divination. I know that Hounsi LaBelle Venus, if you've watched any of her most recent celebrity readings, she is fucking gifted with that crystal. The scrying that she does is absolutely amazing. So, and then I have other forms of divination that I teach as well. So, Venus, you want to talk a little bit about what you're working on, ways people can keep in contact with you?
Yeah, thank you for that, Priestess. I want to say before the internet kicks me off of here again, you guys, but definitely subscribe to Conjure Corner on YouTube, please. That is my personal YouTube channel. You can see me scry there with the crystal ball as well as other divination tools like tarot. Of course, if you want to work with me, I'm available at the Voodoo Institute. It's voodooinstitute.com/Leilani. For those of you who don't know, I'm also Queen Priestess Leilani Can. Both of us are the same person. So you can find me there. Definitely keep an eye out for my Conjure Mentorship Program. I have that starting back up late September 30th to be exact. It's going to be a great mentorship. We're going to do workings. I'm going to teach you all about the law of sympathetic magic. We're going to be talking about the crossroads, the graveyard. For those of you who are interested in Haitian Vodou, I'll also be talking and sharing a little bit of information about the Loa and the spirits that I work with on my journey. So also for those of you who are curious about your ancestors, both of us offer ancestral life path readings. I have a wonderful divination course available at the Voodoo Institute. It's called Expanding Your Divination Skill Set. So if any of you are interested in learning how to divine and communicate with spirit, definitely check out those courses as well, okay? The very last thing I'll say is that I am your local cosmetic conjurer. So that means I make magical and spelled personal care items and makeup. I recently had a course where I taught the ladies how to make their own lip gloss, which is also an aphrodisiac, and we use it to attract and allure. So that course is also available, as well as the kit to make your own at the Voodoo Institute, okay? So thank you all for joining, and I'll let Soleil speak now.
Yeah, Prestige, I see that you were writing a question to me, but I believe the second part of it got cut off. So if you wouldn't mind finishing the question, I'm happy to answer it before we log out. But in terms of things that I'm working on right now, I'm always teaching something. I have a free course coming up September 10th with Omo Moare. We're going to be talking about foundations of faith. So things to think about when you are entering spiritual community, ways to make your spiritual walk more strong, to strengthen your spiritual walk and be more disciplined. So we're going to, basically the conversation is to talk about how discipline is necessary when entering spiritual community, what the benefits of it are, how it strengthens your connection to spirit, etc. So keep an eye out for that on September 10th. It'll be streaming here from my channel, as well as from Omo Moare's. I have to ask her what her channel is because I forget it every time I'm on here. I will definitely add that to the description of this video. That's one of the standalone classes I'm doing September 10th. I'm also going to be teaching a wine infusions course. I'm not sure if that's going to be in September or in October, but if you are interested in learning how to infuse wine with magical properties, either for your own consumption or to use as offering on your altar, definitely keep an eye out for that class. Charm School mentorship is closed, but I do have a traditional mentorship track for those who are entering their ancestral journey from the beginning. So if you need a new mentor, definitely reach out to me for that. It's a combination of Vodou, Hoodoo, and tarot divination lessons. I'm also incorporating a lot about domino divination into that. That is the newest form of divination that I've been teaching myself. And we tend to take a few months of practicing something before we teach it to other people. So I know some of you guys are probably like, she's been talking about dominoes since April. There's a reason for that. Like, I'm never going to be the bitch that reads half of a book and then calls myself an expert. We are not quacks. Our godparents don't play. We were disciplined and taught correctly. And because of that, we take our time with the knowledge that we impart. We take this very seriously.
Period.
But again, if you are interested in learning about tarot, I do scrying too, but I do lamp demancy. So I read fire flames. So I read either lamps or candles. And I'm happy to teach people that. If you're interested in learning about domino divination, in addition to just strengthening your skills of herbalism and understanding the importance of ancestral worship, join my traditional mentorship program. I also have an abundance of classes on tarot, on herbalism. I work with animal matter. I'm one of a few priestesses that work with animal matter. I have several classes on how to use chicken feet to make powerful amulets. And in the fall, I will be teaching people how to make trinkets using pig ears, specifically to strengthen your psychic connection. And there's a reason why you do that with pig ears. I'm not going to talk about that here. If you are anti-animal matter, I don't know what to tell you. Don't hop in my mentions and tell me to use an Ankh instead. Bitch, that's not the same thing. Somebody did that, Venus. Somebody told me, leave the chicken feet alone, just get an Ankh. And that's how I knew you on some bullshit and you know nothing about magic. Anyway, if you guys want to learn about animal matter, how to properly work with animal matter in a way that is safe and in alignment with spirit, definitely enroll in my mentorship or keep an eye out for those standalone classes. And always, you can always book a reading with me. You can always book a reading with me. You can always get a coaching session with me. If you guys are in the field to find a life coach and you want somebody that's specifically spiritually in tune, book a session with me. Purchase a package of sessions so that you can have a couple of months of support. But there's a bunch of ways you can work with me. Go to voodooinstitute.com/Soleil, SOLE, or you can go to soleilconjureshop.com.
Period. I love it. See, y'all, we just do everything. Okay, very skilled and dedicated to our crafts. Like Soleil said, I did drop her website in the comments, soleilconjureshop.com, and you can also come visit me at botanicavenus.com. Okay, so that's all we have for y'all. Be blessed. Don't live life in distress. And if you guys want to leave a love offering, remember that our information is scrolling across the screen. Okay,
well, yes, we will see, and drink water and stay beautiful.
Yes, drink water. Drink water.
All right, everybody have a great evening. Take care.